And we'll talk a little bit about creative integrity. Shout out to Restore the Snyderverse, all the people responsible for pushing this movement forward from the release of Snyder Cut to now. And I got some things to say, so I'm going to say them. But I like to always start off, for those who know me, with a piece of scripture this time around. Start the day with some scripture. It don't matter. I'm gonna say a couple things to people. I'll say a couple things to different people out here, so they get this understanding straight. It don't matter what you're doing in your life. It don't matter where you're at, where you're at in your life. It doesn't matter to me what you've done before. Here's what matters: what you will do or what you're going to do, and also what you believe, whether you walk in it or not. Um, it's always important to put out there as much positive things as you can. So when I get a forum like this to talk, I like to make it abundantly clear that whether or not I read scripture, whether or not I'm even walking the path, the way, I'm going to try my best to put out something positive to you guys that I believe in. So I read from chapter 5 the last day, and I'm going to continue in Ephesians 5 talking about walking in love. And then we're going to get into what we're going to talk about. All right? So, Ephesians chapter 5, and I believe these things. I don't always walk in them, but I believe them. Ephesians chapter 5, it says to be followers of God, right? Walk in love as Christ sacrificed himself for us. All right. Now, it goes on to say the following: but fornication and all uncleanliness, covetousness, let it not once be named among you, neither filthiness, foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. For you know that no warmonger, no unclean person, no covetous person, no idolater will have any inheritance in the kingdom of God. Don't let anybody deceive you with vain words, for because of these things comes the wrath of God on the children of disobedience. So don't be partakers with them. For you're sometimes in darkness, but now you have the light of the Lord. Walk as children of the light. For the fruit of the Spirit is all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is acceptable unto God. So don't mix with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. For it is shame even to speak of these things which are done in secret. But all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light. And whosoever does make manifest the light. I'm gonna stop right there because that's a mouthful. But walking in love involves not walking in fornication, for which I am guilty of sometimes. And also, when they say uncleanliness, what they're talking about is an unclean mind, somebody who is vindictive, somebody who's jealous, somebody who's envious, somebody who uh, tries to sabotage others, wishes ill upon others. This is what we call uncleanliness. Okay, that's an unclean mind. We're gonna get into all of this in a practical way in a minute. Okay, foolish talking. Foolish talking is by telling lies to hurt people. You say one thing in front of somebody's face, but behind their back, you're slandering them. You're speaking ill of them. You're speaking your true intentions, your feelings about them, and you're trying to destroy them. And it's foolishness. What the world calls wisdom is foolishness to God. Um, Not jesting, which is not convenient. Don't be a warmonger. Don't be trying to seek strife, speak gossip. Don't be a warmonger. Okay, so basically that's it. Now, by your actions and by your deeds and words, you shine light on these things. See, it's not talk, it's action that makes a difference. I'm talking with you guys right now, but if my actions don't match up to my talk, then what's the use? So it's all about aspiring for me to walk as I talk. That's where the power comes. Also, similarly for anybody else, because if not, you are a hypocrite. You do not do what you say, then you are a hypocrite. All right, so all of that, now we get to the Snyderverse talk. Okay, let's talk about creative integrity. Love is truthful. Love does not lie to help other people. Okay? Love is truthful. The truth is all you need. And so, when David Zaslav and Warner Brothers Discovery canceled the Batgirl movie, they were honest with it. They said, this IP is not the IPs we're pushing right now. David Zaslav from day one said, we need to get back to Batman, Superman, a Wonder Woman, the Trinity. And we need to push those IPs. And so they were very truthful that they're not interested in Batgirl right now. I hear people online saying that we, the Snyder Cut fandom, when we started to laugh at the fact that Batgirl got canceled and the reaction of certain people in the media fraternity, in certain comic book fraternities, started talking about hashtag release Batgirl. We found it ironic that we were pushing for the Snyder Cut and didn't get that kind of support. And then these people will turn around and say to us, the Snyder Cut fans, you are hypocrites if you do not support release Batgirl. So we're going to unpack that. First of all, Warner Brothers Discovery did nothing wrong. Many projects in the entertainment industry by many studios have been canceled for many different reasons. Some were just at the inception stage. They were still working out the script. Some were at the stage where a pilot had been put out, whether it's on TV or a pilot had been put out before the movie came out. Some were at post-production stage and then canceled. Different regimes will have different goals and objectives and therefore proceed forward to achieve their goals and objectives. And some entertainment, films, and television will be canceled as a result of those things not matching the goals and direction of a new regime. This is nothing new to entertainment and movies and television. It's nothing new. In fact, most ideas, and even if an idea gets to become a pilot idea, do not make it to the final product in TV and in movies, for people who don't know. So I really see nothing wrong in terms of Warner Brothers Discovery canceling Batgirl, and it is not the same as what happened with Zack Snyder and what is happening with David Ayer. It is not the same thing. Our problem wasn't that Zack Snyder's Justice League, his version of it, was canceled, or that David Ayer's version of the Suicide Squad was canceled. That has never been our issue. And that has nothing to do with why we were behind Zack Snyder and why we are today behind David Ayer. And for those people who blur that and confuse it, let me explain to you what creative integrity is. Creative integrity is when a director's vision for a film is not actualized, though the film came out. Let me say it again, because apparently there are people in this industry and so on who are equating a cancellation of a film to a director's vision not seeing the light of day, even though the film came out. That is two separate and different things. When we speak about creative integrity, we are speaking about a studio not meddling in a director's vision for a movie. That is what we're speaking about. We're not talking about cancellations. There's many movies that have been canceled. This happens in the industry all the time. Okay? So, the movie, to speak about creative integrity, for that to happen, the movie actually has to come out. 1. 2, to make a claim that creative integrity has not been kept, it means the studio must not be meddling in the director's direction for the film. Okay? We can't say either of those things is true about Batgirl. What we do know is that Batgirl has been pulled, just like New Gods, The Trench, the Cyborg movie, The Flash is on hold right now and pushed back. Okay? Some CW TV shows are gone. On HBO Max, we had several, what is it, with something with wolves gone. Okay? It happens. That's part of what happens. And sometimes we as fans want to see those things go on. And sometimes the studio doesn't think the same way. The case of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and now the Ayer cut, is a separate and different thing to that. In the case of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and the reason why it's even called Zack Snyder's Justice League is to separate it from the theatrical cut that came out, of which the studio lied to us and said that was Zack's vision and there is no other cut. They lied. Integrity. Unclean hearts those executives had. And they were lying all the way. David Zaslav did not lie. He said, well, I'm canceling this thing because it's not what we're focused on. He didn't lie. But the executives, Toby Emmerich, came across and said, Zack's vision will be held in this movie, and we just trimmed it down, and blah, 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 blah. It was a lie. And that's where the grounds, when I found out I was hoodwinked, I was angry. And that's where, when the fans were able to prove, and Zack Snyder was able to work with them and prove that there was a Snyder cut out there, that is where the wrongs were corrected. Okay? Warner Brothers wanted us to move on, but we did not. We persisted for 5 years. In 2021, 4 years, sorry, after 2017's Justice League had come up to screens, we got Zack Snyder's Justice League. And overwhelmingly, anyone who watched it praised it versus the crap that Warner Brothers did in 2017. Furthermore, David Ayer, though Suicide Squad made money and stuff, David Ayer has a director's cut of Suicide Squad, which the fans are requesting, and we are fighting for that. And we talk about release the Ayer cut, and we've been relentlessly doing that also now for 6 years. Okay? Further, I've seen some people on social media trying to tell us that we are hypocrites, the irony of the situation, trying to tell us that we are hypocrites for pushing for the Snyder Cut and pushing for the Ayer cut, but when it comes to the director's vision of Batgirl, we're laughing at them, which is not the case. I am not laughing at the directors of Batgirl. I am not laughing at Leslie Grace or any one of the cast or crew of Batgirl. I am not. Do I care about Batgirl that much? No, I do not. It was never my interest. In fact, I didn't even know Batgirl was coming out in cinemas. I wasn't following it because I wasn't interested. Is it a travesty that this happened to the cast, director, and crew? Absolutely. I mean, it's not something you punch your fist in the air and feel happy about. I mean, you gave up time and effort for that, so of course it's a travesty for them. But you cannot blame us for laughing at the irony of the situation that we, for years, were pushing for a film we wanted, putting in the groundwork, putting in the effort, being positive, defending our stance, having to prove that a Snyder Cut existed. And these same people were berating us for doing so. They called us cults, they called us toxic, they called us all sorts of mean, degrading things. But now, you're trying to bully us into supporting a film because you say it's about creative integrity when you can't even get that definition correct. You can't even get that right. And yes, we will laugh at the irony of the situation that you, the very same thing you were criticizing us for, now you want us to do for you. You don't even want to do it for yourself. You don't even want to go on a crusade for yourself to support what you love. Instead, you are the toxic one berating us for not supporting you and what you want to do. The audacity. If you feel so much about Batgirl, then you organize a campaign and start working, possibly for the next 4 to 5 years, to see the light of day in theaters, like we are doing for the Snyder Cut. Because we are pushing also for it to be in theaters. See, it's a process, but are you willing to do the road work? Or are you just one of those unempowered people who's willing to criticize and bad talk and be toxic about everything out there, but you're not willing to do the work yourself? Ephesians 5, let's go back to it. I like reading scripture. Talk about us being toxic. We're the toxic ones. Oh, yeah, right. The people doing the road work, they're the toxic ones. I see. It says here, neither filthiness nor foolishness. So what's happening is this. We're having a shift in how things were going in Warner Brothers. This has happened for now the third time, right? First time was with when Zack Snyder was there and the new regime came in, and they pushed for Man of Steel, and then that regime was replaced by the Emmerich and the Hamada and the Sarnoff regime. Now they're replaced, and now we have Zaslav and his regime. Alan Horn and so on. And the thing about it is, now some of these people, they're not the majority of fans out there, to be honest with you, and they know that. And this is why they're making so much noise. And most of them are insiders. They're people who are not really fans. They're people who used to get their scoops and tips, as Sil will tell you. Shout out to Sil Abdul and Mikey out there. They're the guys that used to have the scoop and tips. So what they're doing now is they're putting out toxic media. Instead of trying to jump on board and trying to be positive, trying to say positive things, they're going back to the usual lies and so on. And some people, they're butthurt that the Snyderverse looks like it's coming to be, that it's going to be restored. It's not going to be exactly restored the way how we as fans might think it would be restored, but nonetheless, it's going to be restored. And because David Zaslav seems to have a certain focus, I believe that a lot of these people out there are bitter, angry, that their agenda and the way how they wanted things to happen is not happening. They think they're gods or something. And DC would have been going down the crapper, and they would have been fine with that. But DC, there's hope. And it looks like DC is going to be on the right path. David Zaslav is known for slashing and cutting things that just don't seem productive to him. He's known to do that. If you can't produce no damn results, if you're not moving the needle, he's going to cut you. He did it with Discovery. This is what he does. And he's doing it now in DC. Batgirl, possibly in his opinion, wasn't going to move the needle, was probably not going to make a profit. So he canceled it. He canceled some CW shows because he doesn't think that money invested in that is worth the while. There are no returns coming. He don't play. He's a no-nonsense kind of guy, straightforward, straight shooter. He came into Warner Brothers. He was watching the scene. He was watching how he was running everything, and then now he's making his movements. You're going to have to sell the movie that you're going to make to these guys. They're not just going to take it at face value. They're going to watch the track record of these movies, these solo films that Hamada has done. Hamada is I think it's 1 for 5 now, okay? In terms of DCEU films or whatever you want to call them, solo films, right? He's got flop after flop after flop. We had Harley Quinn and whatever their name was. I can't even remember the movie. That was a woman movie, mind you, rated R. Woman almost all lead cast. And we all know in Hollywood how the movies with women as heroes and leads, how it does. Wonder Woman's a very big exception to the rule. Captain Marvel was another one that did pretty well. You got to understand. You have to understand what's going on. You have to understand the demographic. You have to understand what's going on. Wonder Woman 84 did not do well at all. It was a box office flop. People try to blame it on COVID in 2020, but in 2020, a number of movies did well. They didn't do as well as they would usually do, but they did well. So then you cap that off with a Suicide Squad flop. Okay? So they've been flopping left, right, and center. And Walter Amada's been putting in some serious dough into those movies, and they have not been doing well. The Flash movie would have flopped as well. And the key here is, as we all know, Snyder Cut fans know, they were trying to replace what Zack Snyder had done. They were trying to undo what Zack Snyder had done. They were trying to get rid of Henry Cavill, getting rid of Ben Affleck. Probably going to keep Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, and Aquaman, Jason Momoa. But they were going to clear out Ben. They were going to clear out Henry. Well, clear out the Snyderverse. They were trying to soft reboot the thing. And it failed. And all these other spin-off movies that they were trying to make rushed through. Again, we want quality movies, and we were getting quality movies, and then the quality of the movies started to fall, and it marvelized the movies. Okay, and it started with Aquaman. Okay, in fact, it started with Justice League, and then Aquaman, then Shazam, then the Harley Quinn movies, same kind of thing, jokes inside and all that. And then we had the Wonder Woman movie with jokes and stuff inside of there. The action was terrible. And then we had the Suicide Squad. They actually started bringing in people who used to work with Marvel directors into DC to show you that they weren't trying to be like Marvel. And I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to shoot for a crossover. Hmm. Okay. Okay. They were trying to cross over the movies, but I mean, I'm smelling something burning. Hold on a second, people. Just hold on 1 second. Something's wrong. What is it? This? Okay. So, I was just going through it. I was just checking out to see what was the problem. It wasn't anything to do with me. It was something outside of the area. So it is what it is. Yeah. So what I was saying is that, you know, creative integrity has to do with the the director being able to get their vision out to the screen. And if that didn't happen, not because a film is canceled, but because studio interference or whatever, that's what we talk about. Now, having said that, I mean, if you want to see Batgirl, you think that it's something you want to see, petition. What we did as Snyder Cut fans was we got the Snyder Cut released. It wasn't released in cinemas, but it was released on HBO Max. And over the process of 1 year, it was on other networks, whether it was on we had it on Netflix and Prime and so on, Amazon Prime and so on, and now we had the hard copies, the DVDs and Blu-rays, and then we got the digital copies of these movies out. Now here's the thing: because it was so successful, we can now petition. It already in a limited way by the fans. Saw cinemas. Because of the COVID and everything, people renting out the cinemas to see the movie. But I expect, or I hope, we could petition as fans for it to come out into cinemas. Maybe in the U.S. or in different parts of the world where it's big there, whether it's the UK, US, or China, and have it see the cinemas and have a certain cinematic run for maybe a week or 2 weeks, and just get the revenues from that. Let it see the light of the, and if it's doing really well, then you probably extend it. The point being, it's a process. So if you want to say, for example, you feel strongly about Batgirl, that you want to at least see the director's vision and so on for Batgirl, you want to actually see what Batgirl would have been, and since it's almost fully done, maybe you could petition for it to go straight to Blu-ray, petition for it to go straight to DVD. Maybe that's what you should do. Start a petition, start a movement to get to see Batgirl. Okay? Because the studio may feel one way, but you as fans drive everything. And this is the thing these fans don't understand. The studio made the decision because several of Walter Hamada's movies hasn't garnered the interest necessary for DC. Okay? These are facts. And the last Comic-Con, again, Walter Hamada was the guy kind of overseeing that, and it was lackluster. Okay? So that allowed David Zaslav the mandate to proceed how he's proceeding. Okay? Batgirl would have been a spin-off movie. And again, it is not, a major IP. To the lackluster way how fans were dealing with DC properties in terms of movies. I don't know for television, but in terms of movies, and then we don't know. I don't know personally. People are, there are reports about the screening that it didn't go well and blah 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 blah. I don't put too much stock into that. But what I can tell you is, under Walter Hamada, a good portion of DC films flopped at the box office. Flopped. Now, under Zack Snyder, when Zack Snyder was there were no box office flops. Okay? No box office flops. They may have, in some people's, Suicide Squad overperformed. Batman v Superman, they said underperformed. I personally think it didn't, but for a second movie in the franchise to do as well as it did, given that Superman's IP is not the strongest IP in the world, it's very hard to get the Superman IP over the way how it should be. Man of Steel is an underrated film, as everybody knows, and of course it got a lot of hate because Marvel was there and whatever. But Man of Steel, let me say this: Man of Steel is the only Superman IP since 1979 to be as profitable as it was at the box office. Brandon Routh's Superman Return was a box office flop. Superman Part 4 was a box office flop. Superman Part 3 was a box office flop. Superman 2 and Superman 1 made profits. Minimal profits for Superman 2. Superman 1 had bigger profits. So, on about 1980, since 1980 to 2013, there hadn't been a successful Superman launching. Zack Snyder was able to pull that off. I myself wasn't very much interested in Superman, until Zack Snyder. And of course, Man of Steel got a lot of hate, and obviously you see the critics made it rotten for Rotten Tomatoes, which is amazing because phenomenal film to be scored rotten by the critics. You have to ask yourself, where's the disconnect here? But it is what it is. And then we had Batman v Superman, the theatrical cut. It grossed $873 million. They were looking for 1.5 million. But they didn't expect such vicious attacks by the media and so on. But I guess Jeff Johns, was behind that, as well as we had Marvel fans who, Civil War was coming out the same year, so they were trying to talk down BVS and just find anything to attack it with. And we're talking about people in the industry. I'm talking about. When I say fans, I mean people in the industry who work in the industry, critics, etc. And they panned that movie. They panned it to 20-something% of the critics actually had it fresh, which is crazy. I mean, you look at, I don't care if you look at the theatrical cut or if you look at the ultimate cut. I don't care which version you. There's no way that movie should have been at 20-something%. There's just no way. Okay, that movie is a fantastic movie. It is a movie that covers several different genres. Zack Snyder sprinkling all these different elements into it, and a movie which was well made. I don't care if you think of the theatrical cut or otherwise. And I went and saw the theatrical cut how many times? 10 times, I think it was. I watched it in every single. And I don't watch the theatrical cut anymore because we have the ultimate cut, wherever I watch it. But it's an amazing movie in which I was blown away. I was blown away by that movie. Having said that, um, you know, none of Hamada's films move the needle like that. I mean, the hype for uh, whether it's Zack Snyder's Justice League, whether it's Army of the Dead, whether it's Rebel Moon, whether it's Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, the hype for Zack Snyder's stuff is ridiculous. I mean, I remember when Zack Snyder presented Batman v Superman, he brought out Harry Lennox to say a quote, and then he put up the symbol with the Superman logo inside of the Batman symbol, and all of Comic-Con lost their goddamn minds. And that Comic-Con was owned by Zack Snyder, okay? And the point I'm making is the hype that Zack Snyder has around him for any of his movies is just incredible. And now he has a fan base behind him as well. He can do no wrong. He do any movie, the fan base. He's a big fan support, big fan, and just expanding more and more. And of course, he's always had respect in the industry. Directors always respected him and tried to copy certain things from him. But there are the high ups, execs, people not really who do movie making, who hate on it. I mean, James Cameron, mentioned Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder is an incredible director, and people are beginning to see that now and respect him for what it is. And that's again owed to us, the fans. We were the ones that brought that awareness to people. We're the ones that fought back. And I'm very happy to say that I was part of that process, especially with the BVS, where it ticked me off. Because Man of Steel, okay, so y'all hating on Man of Steel, okay, fine. But BVS was the breaking point for me. I was like, goddamn, hell no. Hell to the no. This movie, I fought for that movie. Theatrical cut I'm talking about. I fought for that movie tooth and nail. And you know why I fought for that movie? Because I realized it's bullshit that these people in the industry have. And I realized the gluttony that in the industry it was about being entertained. It wasn't about growing as a person. It wasn't about being able to be hospitable to other people. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but the product is supposed to make you a better person. And too many of the Hollywood films these days, they're not about that. They're not about something that really is substantive, okay? And, I mean, Man of Steel and BVS were so substantive, and we don't need to go into that in detail. We could cover that, as I said before, I'm going to cover these movies. I've looked at all three of them, and I got a bunch of stuff to say about them, but it's very substantive, and it really had an impact on me. I don't know about other people, but me, and obviously on a number of people also. So, the movement came off of that. When we saw what the studio did to Zack with BVS, and then they really screwed him over with Justice League. And so I knew that screw over was a strategic one so that they could shift. So they were trying to screw Zack over so that they could shift from the direction in which Zack was going and the DCEU was going. All right? And this is because of a glutton named Jeff Johns who he was already working with the CW, and he wanted to make a sort of CW-like universe which he could mesh with Marvel. This is what was going on. Jeff Johns was the guy behind all of this, and fuck Jeff Johns. Sorry about the F-bomb, but to say it, fuck him. And now that we know what was really going on, hearing the Ray Fisher incident and all of these things and all the nastiness that was going on in the background, I can safely say that I'm glad that Batgirl was canceled. Because Batgirl, a lot of Hamada stuff was to erase the Snyderverse and to try and reset the universe so that J.J. Abrams could go and do some stuff with it. And J.J. Abrams, he's not a bad director, don't get me wrong, but it's like, what has he done of late to get that opportunity to come across to DC? That's my question. But nonetheless, let him come across. I really have a problem with him coming across. He's telling his set of stories, no problem. I've never been a King Midas touch kind of guy. I mean, in the case of cancellation of Batgirl, I'm like, Batgirl was supposed to kind of replace, if you haven't realized, Batman. Supergirl was supposed to replace Superman. They were playing this, what do they call it? Warriors for Social Justice kind of bullshit, where they're trying to replace the male archetype with the female archetype. And you've seen this in the industry over and over. You even watch He-Man and how they took T-Rail, whatever her name was, and they made her the focus. So they try to make these woman heroes. They're trying to force on us woman heroes. And guess who's writing the scripts? Men. So it's kind of really retarded, but it is what it is. And the Supergirl that they try to thrust on us through the Flash, I thought, first of all, the suit didn't look that great, and it's just like they're trying to shove CW down your ass. You could see them trying to shove a CW kind of like in a low budget kind of costuming kind of just shit, and I really don't like it. But I told you all that. I told you they were marvelizing the universe, and I say Aquaman was a marvelized version, that they were trying to go at. And because Aquaman was so successful, because Snyder Cut people actually supported it as well, people felt that, oh, that's the green light. Or Wonder Woman, where Patty Jenkins was supposed to be a director for Marvel, and she ended up doing DC. But what Patty did was unique. Wonder Woman, and she worked with Zack Snyder, the stunt coordination and everything. And Patty had good ideas for Wonder Woman 84. It's just that it was not flushed out properly at all, and the action was terrible. So, and you can tell Jeff Johns had his hands in that. It was just awful. Jeff Johns should not do nothing with movies. Just get the fuck out of the movies. Don't write for them. Don't nothing. Just stay out of the movies. Just stay out of movies for now. Just stay out of the movies. Just stay out of the movies. Jeff, just stay out of movies. Don't be overseeing nothing, and don't be suggesting nothing to nobody. You know what I mean? If you just write a script, okay, you're just writing, the story, whatever. But please don't do nothing more than that. You may have all this knowledge and all this history, but let the director do that thing. You know what I mean? God, my God, Wonder Woman 84 is terrible. But my point anyway is that, Walter Amada hasn't been really giving us the hits. You know what I mean? He's got a win here. He got a little win with Matt Reeves. That's a Batman movie that, made respectable money. And I'm sure it was a good quality movie. I haven't watched it. And mainly because of how Jeff Johns screwed over Ben Affleck. And we know he got screwed over by Jeff Johns. Because Jeff Johns didn't want to see continuity with the Snyderverse. And they had already fucked up Justice League. So there was no need for the Batfleck movie. You could see that Jeff Johns was undermining Zack Snyder all the way through. And so, that's why we say fuck Jeff Johns. But, when you look at the, Batfleck movie, it's so ironic that Batgirl was canceled. But we haven't had a Batman movie. You know what I mean? How could we not have a Batman movie? We were supposed to have a Batman movie. Clearly, we were supposed to have a Batman movie after Zack Snyder's Justice League in 2017. We were supposed to have a Batman movie in which a Batgirl was supposed to be in it. All of a sudden, we got a Batgirl movie. Right? So you can see the other regime was just undermining the process. And they brought in Matt Reeves to do a completely different Batman thing, with steal a little bit of Ben Affleck's script, but a completely different Batman film, so that Batgirl wouldn't be involved. And we recycle the same bunch of characters. Whereas with Ben Affleck's Batman, it was going to be Deathstroke undermining Batman. New characters, Batgirl would have been up in there. I mean, fuck it, man. But I'm sorry about the F-bomb again. But the point is, we're going to get something different and fresh. Not the same recycled bullshit. And for the Batman fans, well, y'all might have liked the Batman movie, but for us, it's a slap in the face because Ben Affleck was supposed to do the Batman movie. You know what I mean? But it's all good. It's all good. Some people supported Matt Reeves' movie. It did reasonably well. I'm happy for him. But I don't mean we can't get the Batman movie still. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is just me as a fan. This has nothing to do with creative integrity except the fact that Jeff Johns two-timed Ben Affleck. Okay. But having said that, that universe, the Hamadaverse didn't do too well. Okay, and if Dwayne the Rock Johnson doesn't get his head right, there's gonna be no the Adam movie might come out. It might be the last flop of the Hamadaverse, and that'll be it. Because you gotta understand, nobody cares about Black Adam like that. Okay, and Dwayne the Rock Johnson cares about Black Adam, but if you don't have no Superman in that movie, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Okay, so you better find a way to get Henry Cavill in that movie, because the fans are very, very, very vocal about Henry Cavill. They were trying to get rid of Henry Cavill from the universe, and we clearly can see that. Hamada and Emmerich and these guys. So, and Jeff Johns, they were trying to flush out, Zack Snyder's Superman, Zack Snyder's Black Man, because they know Zack Snyder picked Henry Cavill. Zack Snyder picked, Ben Affleck, and we know those guys are going to have much more serious movies. See, they're not going to follow the Jeff Johns formula of laughing, hee hee ha ha, and hee hee ha ha, and just crappy writing. I can't take it. I really can't. That's why I don't like Marvel. Okay, I mean I like Black Panther, but that's about it. Okay, and maybe Captain America the first one. So, by and large, what I'm saying is, it takes work. It takes work and coordination to get what you want. Okay? With Batgirl, if people are serious about Batgirl and seeing it, or at least letting them have a chance to see the movie to decide for themselves if it was a good movie or not, you start petitioning for it, that it can get released on DVD or Blu-ray. At least allow the fans to see that. So you go about doing it. You don't try to point fingers at people and call them hypocrites and all this bullshit when you know very well you're the biggest hypocrite of them all. You go ahead and you go to what you're passionate with, and you start lobbying for that. That's what you do. They've been asking for the Schumacher cut too. I'm not against nobody asking for no cut or nothing. The Schumacher cut was supposed to be done, and then they cut the movie. So if you want to see a Schumacher cut, or you want to see this cut or that cut or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's mad at you. I'm not gonna come at you and say you're a cultist, or you're a this, or you're a that, or move on. I'm not gonna tell you that. But don't be asking me to do your work for you. First of all, because in a movie that I'm not interested in, and then two, because I'm a hypocrite if I don't help you. Hell no. Hell no. Now, I've been laughing on Twitter straight through, watching the hypocrisy and just laughing at everything. And some people have been making jokes about it, because these the same people who's telling us to move on. These the same people who's hating on us for doing things that we love. And it took us 4 years, 5 years. And we're still in the ongoing process of continuing to ask for what we love. Now, some people, we're toxic in the movement. The people who saying boycott Warner Brothers and boycott this. I never told nobody to boycott nothing. That's what people to choose. Okay? I'm never going to tell nobody to boycott nothing. I ain't done that beat. If I'm not interested in something, I'm just not going to watch it. End of story. You don't tell me to boycott something, because I have my own brain. I know what I want to do. I did say fire Tommy Emmerich and fire Walter Hamada, and that's because when you look at their track record, these guys are a burden on the company and the investors. But that's it. Okay? And that's not being toxic. So, at the end of the day, because most DC fans didn't come out and support these last set of movies that came out, you can't blame that on Snyder Cut fans. Hell no. We're not the majority of DC. We're not. It means that DC fans and maybe people who are not usually, moviegoers or whatever, didn't support the movies. So you can't blame us for that. At the end of the day, creative integrity is the thing. And that's what we pushed for. Not only that, but we also talked about the fact that the man had a daughter that just died. And then they two-timed him like that. And then when we look at David Ayer, how they two-timed him too, it is what it is. It is what it is. Right? The hate that they had for Zack Snyder in the industry, because he don't play ball like the usual guys. He don't fraternize like the usual guys. You're not doing the usual Hollywood narratives like the other guys. Because of that, they try to blacklist that dude. And they try to destroy him. Because he was an outsider. That, what's the guy name? Who's an outsider himself too? Christopher Nolan brought in. Christopher Nolan brought in Zack Snyder. Christopher Nolan and David Goyer. Y'all talk about you all respect Christopher Nolan, but apparently you don't. Because he's the one that recommended Zack Snyder. And the amount of hate this dude get, talking about Aaron Rand and what's the word? Objectivism and all kinds of bullshit. When the man ain't evil on that beat. The man's he's been sharing what I consider mental concepts with people. And he ain't doing it the usual typical way. And then the superhero movies, they easy watching. From Marvel, they were easy watching stuff. It's a hit 'em up, scrap 'em up kind of thing. Not too much thinking involved. Cool. You like easy watching like that? Cool for you. But you don't disrespect a movie that actually decided to take itself seriously and actually cover from different genres. So it's not just a movie that's your typical, at least since 2011, comic book movie. Okay? Zack actually took it and made it something more, something called hyper-realism. Made it sci-fi-ish. Brought in art, real art. Captured that comic book moments, this comic book essential feelings. But they took spin and they spun it on it. And they tried to attack Zack Snyder. And they were only attacking Zack Snyder. You weren't really hearing the movie. You were attacking Zack Snyder. They particularly were attacking the man who made the movies. Which was funny to me. It showed me he wasn't an old boy in the old boys club. He didn't have connections like that. So they was treating him like that. So at the end of the day, he got validated. And it took us, the fans, to make that happen. Because we're watching something on the screen and we're like, what the fuck are they talking about? We're like, this is a disconnect here. These movies are fantastic. What are you talking about? And we're watching them, we're like, what are these people thinking? But we knew what it was because they even would refer to Marvel in the same breath with what Zack Snyder was doing. Meaning they were intimidated by him. He was bringing something to the table nobody was bringing to the table. Marvel director said it's Zack Snyder when he did the Batman v Superman and he scrapped Captain America Part 3 and he decided to do Civil War because they realized Zack had something. And Zack did. Zack took the industry to a whole other level and he's still doing it to this day. His movies are layered. His movies are not just superficial shit. To this day, you look at Army of the Dead, it's not just a zombie movie. It's about aliens. It's about the government infiltrating. It's a lot more than meets the fucking eye. That's what's nice about Zack Snyder. Man of Steel, layered film. BVS, one of the most layered films you'll find. Zack Snyder's Justice League, layered film. Army of the Dead, layered film. It ain't just what you're seeing. That's what breeds discussion. That's what breeds debate. You will always find out with Zack Snyder's movies. They say it's controversial, but the truth be told, Zack Snyder's always doing something which will cause people to talk about it even after the movie's done. That's why BVS stands the test of time. We don't even hear about Civil War anymore. That shit was a one watch and we were done. Okay? That's the point. Okay? So, at the end of the day, when you want to talk about creative integrity and creative freedom and all of these kinds of things, remember what actually happened. It's raining cats and dogs right now, if you don't know. Remember what actually happened. Don't be talking about stuff you don't know what you're even talking about. You want to talk about creative integrity? Now, who's a hypocrite? I think that would be you, person who try to blame Snyder Cut people. You ain't being honest. You're the one who's acting differently to what you say. Say one thing, you do another. You're a hypocrite. So, ultimately, in the end, Zaslav and they are going in a particular direction. They're clear on what they are going to do, what they're going to execute. And I'm happy about it, to be honest with you. I'm not hyped for anything DC right now. Most I'm hyped for now is Aquaman because we heard Ben Affleck's in it. But then again, I was kind of a little bit hyped for The Flash because Ben Affleck was in it. But Aquaman's going to have Ben Affleck somewhere in it. Somewhere. Okay? And that's good. I just hope James Wan doesn't give us that same bullshit that he gave us for Aquaman. Because I haven't even watched that movie in its entirety. I started watching it and it turned me off a bit. I did watch the action scene though on the rooftop. That shit was blazing. But other than that, I'm not really hyped on Aquaman like that. Because if they're going to make that kind of character for Aquaman, whereas Aquaman, the Aquaman I saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League remind me a lot more of, I know Aquaman can be kooky, but I always feel like Aquaman from Justice League War is more the Aquaman I would like to see on the screen for now. You know, and so, you know, I just feel like, I hope that the Aquaman that they bring out this time comes out better. And I might watch it because of Ben Affleck. It all depends on what direction David Zaslav and his team with Warner Brothers Discovery goes in. If they are going in the direction where they can keep whatever's there, you know, the Hamadaverse, whatever the movies, but they're heading towards restoring the Snyderverse as one of the universes, not all the universes. Remember, there's a multiverse here. You have room to do other movies and other spin-offs and other things. I'm not here to tell you not to do that. I'm just saying, I want to hear that the Snyderverse is being restored, that we're going to head towards Justice League 2 and 3. If that is what we're seeing down the road, I'm down. I'm down with DC like that. I'm not saying I'm going to watch all the movies for their different tastes, but everybody going to have something for everybody. But those major IPs down the road are very important to me. And that's what I want to see. Justice League 2 and 3 and be done. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully some of those IPs will move forward. You know, and I'm not a hee hee ha ha kind of guy. I can take a hee hee ha ha when it's a hee hee ha ha film. You know what I mean? Don't try too hard to make the jokes, because if you're trying too hard to make the jokes, I'm just not with you. You know what I mean? Zachary Levi, he's not funny to me. You know, he's just not funny. You know what I mean? He might seem funny to himself, but he's not funny to me. And so that's the kind of thing. I mean, I ain't mad at, you know, the director. I'm not really mad at Zachary. Zachary's making his money. I ain't here to hate on Zachary like that. But I'm just saying, he don't appeal to me like that. You know what I mean? He's Shazam, and it is what it is. You know, but the story of Shazam, you know, I watched a piece of the story of Shazam with the 7 Deadly Sins, and you know, it was pretty, I'm reaching here. I'm just trying to show some love to the director, but it's cringy a bit. The movie was a bit cringy, but you know, Shazam was a better movie than Wonder Woman 84. Laughing straight through Wonder Woman 84. Shazam is a better movie. It's actually a movie. It's actually cohesive. It's actually a movie. Wonder Woman 84 was... The moral of the story was pretty good, but... Woo! It was tough. It was rough. Never watched it again. I've been watching Wonder Woman. I watched Wonder Woman 3 times in the cinema. You know, I had a copy of Wonder Woman, but now I'm going to purchase it, add it to my collection. I'm going to have the Man of Steel, BVS, Ultimate Cut, Wonder Woman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League is going to be my cut of movies that I always going to be watching, because to me those movies are great movies. And Wonder Woman, man, that first Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins killed it. I mean, she, boom, straight on the head. I really can't see a better Wonder Woman movie. I know Zack Snyder had a version of Wonder Woman. It probably would have been great. But I just think that Patty Jenkins being a woman, just the way how she saw the movie and everything, and was so cohesive. It kind of fit together. I mean, the ending scenes wasn't so great, but still, the movie was fantastic. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed that movie. And I'm yet to see it again, and all the little add-in things with the mother boxes, the little history and stuff. I want to see all of that too. So, you know, it's one of those things where I'm gonna keep definitely, you know, it's just the way how that thing was put together organically with Jeff Johns was actually on it, Patty Jenkins, Zack Snyder's stunt team, you know, Zack Snyder, you know, as executive producer, and you know, just, you know, using the Wonder Woman picture instead of his picture in his movie. just fantastic stuff, man. And so the continuity kind of flowed. Patty had her own ideas about Wonder Woman, but yet it still kind of flowed together. It's a great movie, great movie. And you know, even Aquaman, you know, James Wan, you know how they flow. I mean, the director, if James Wan was cool with Aquaman, then cool. I'm just saying, the next Aquaman movie, I just hope it's better. Because from what I saw of Aquaman, I don't really enjoy it. You know what I mean? I didn't really like it. So anyway, that's what I got. Again, this is my personal taste in movies. But we just crossed an hour. I usually talk for about an hour. So I hope you guys have a good one. God bless you all. No matter what you're going through in life, ups and downs, just remember that God's overseeing everything. If you believe in God, and you know, strive every day to do the best you can and try and give back to the world something good. That's all I gotta say for now. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Restore the Snyderverse, release the air cut. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I am Christ, I am disciple. Peace.